What's up, people? What's poppin'? How you doing? It is your boy, Mikey, and we are having another video here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Hytale. I might throw in different nonsensical things along the way. Bear with me. I'm not going to go over every single thing in this. On this, I will link it in the description. And if there's anything else you want to read that you see that I kind of skip over, you can go and read it if you want yourself. But I'm not going to sit here and read through the entire thing. I will touch on a few things here and there. So, there's a whole lot going on right here, but I want to get to this part. We are actively working to bring Hytale to Linux and Mac as soon as possible. Considering the fact that it doesn't use DirectX, I would figure it would be on Linux, you know? And for that matter, Steam Deck and whatnot. I expect it to be available at some point or another on Steam Deck as well as Steam Machine. Hell, maybe they'll make a VR version for Steam Frame. I think it's called Steam Frame. Or other VR headsets. That would be cool. If it's just using what I think it's using. And later down, I've already kind of read through this. They mention Vulkan, so why not, you know? Why not? Why wouldn't this work? Why wouldn't this work out? Anyhow, so let's kind of look over this. They mentioned that there's different like sets of requirements. So there's minimum, recommended, and recording and streaming. We'll go over this really quick. I will note really quickly between minimum and recommended. The dedicated GPUs are the same, so I'm not going to go over that. So, and it's just like a GTX 900 series or an AMD Radeon 400 series or more. And it's the same with minimum and recommended requirements. It's not exactly a graphically demanding game. Just saying. But I will go over the rest of it real quick. Of course, a 64-bit operating system. Windows 10 version 1809 or Windows 11. I'm still on 10. I'm not going to 11. And because they're going to Linux, I'm happy because I'm probably going to go to Linux myself at some point. Yeah, I am. I'm going to go to Linux at some point. I'm, as my daily driver, as people put it, I hate that terminology. I will always hate that terminology. It just doesn't sit well with me. I think it sounds stupid. Um, but I digress. Let's talk about the requirements real quick, and for posterity, I will mention my requirements after I read these. So yeah, so as for the minimum requirements of the CPU, they requires like a i5 7500 or equivalent, an AMD Ryzen 3 1200 or equivalent. For the memory, they want you to have for single player with a dedicated graphics 8 gigabytes, integrated 12 gigabytes, multiplayer only 8 gigabytes, and I think that's because the brunt of the work will probably be on the server side, so you won't need as much. GPU, uh, uh, yeah, I kind of mentioned that doesn't change. It doesn't change with dedicated. It does change with integrated. So minimum integrated would be Intel UHD Graphics 620 or an AMD Radeon Vega 3. Depreciation notes support for Vulkan 1.3 will be required in the future. So in the future, they plan to go to Vulkan 1.3 and it will be a requirement. So if you can't run Vulkan 1.3 at some point, then that would be bad. That would be bad on you. You probably have some difficulties. I don't really know. I'm glad they threw that note in there as an aside. So then we move down here, and these are the recommended. The recommended isn't all that high. For a recommended CPU is an Intel Core i5. Oh, what the hell is this? A 10400? What? Or equivalent, and or an AMD Ryzen 5 3600 or equivalent, and 16 gigabytes of memory. Integrated for the integrated GPU, it is Intel Iris Xe graphics or an AMD Radeon 660M. Again, the dedicated graphics are not the same, or they are the same between minimum and recommended. Where they change is further down here in the recording requirements. Down in the recording requirements, like if you're going to record or stream, they're asking you to have an Intel Core i7 10 10700,000 or something, or K, or equivalent, or an AMD Ryzen 9 3800X. There is no Ryzen 9 3800X, so I think they mean Ryzen 7 3800X or equivalent. 32 gigabytes of RAM, a GPU, NVIDIA RTX 30 series, AMD Radeon RX 7000 series, an Intel Arc A series. Note these recommendations are made as newer graphics cards provide much better video quality for a given bitrate, especially for live streaming scenarios. If supported, we also strongly recommend the use of AV1 HEVC for video recording, NVMe SSD with at least 10%, 50 gigabytes of free space available. One internet benchmark, AMD Ryzen RTX. Like I said, you can go back and read this if you want to read this, but now I want to touch on something about this. That's for 1440p 60 FPS. I'm not going to be playing at that. I'm going to be playing at 1080p. Like, everything I do is 1080p. I don't really see a need in 1440p unless they start AI upscaling videos, which I think they're talking about doing that. Which, fine, whatever, that's on YouTube's end. That's what they do. That's an option that they'll have. But for me, I'm not worried about it. So again, for posterity, I thought I would mention my system. So my system has, CPU wise, it has an AMD Ryzen 7 5700X. It has an for the GPU, it has a AMD Radeon 5500 XT. That's not super powerful, but it's also more than they're recommended. Not quite what would be needed for this, but this has to do with 1440p. I'm not recording or streaming in 1440p, so I'm not really worried about it exactly. This is not bad. I think a lot of people out there, this is going to work pretty well for them. They mentioned the view distance. It's not done in chunks. It's actually set in blocks. So like they have a minimum or a low end of 192 blocks, but then it'll go up to like 300 and something. And that's like double. So let's go ahead and go down and look at the view distance. View distance, the most impactful performance option, is called view distance, and this is the radius around the player that is visible, loaded, and simulated around the player. The major problem of view distance is that every time you double the view distance, like 192 to 384, you quadruple the amount of world around you. That means you have 4 times as many blocks and NPCs, which are causing your computer to work harder. We recommend you experience Hytale with a view distance of at least 384 blocks. We designed Orbis around this distance, but if that is not enough for you, you may want to spend some time dialing in the ideal view distance for your own computer. I don't know about blocks, but I know in Minecraft Java, I can go the max of like 32 chunks. I don't think that's the same as blocks, but yeah, 32 chunks. I don't know how many blocks are in a chunk, but so yeah, this should be great for me. Like I'm pretty sure I'll be able to go at least the 384. I might be able to go a little further than that, but they said you can dial it in, so you can adjust it. And this is like a visualization of the view distance. So we have the 192 view distance from above. It's about like this. All right. And then we have like the 384 from above. That's how much more you can see around it. This is in game at the 192. This is in game at the 384. Oh wait, did I just notice it? Oh, okay, it's just the grass blowing. And then they have it even higher, man. Which one is this one? The one that's even higher? That is the 768, which is probably where I'll set mine at. That looks pretty good. I like the 768. And that looks pretty good. And then they have the 19, or not 19, but 1024. That's pretty good. I don't know if I'll be able to go that far, but that's pretty cool. I like that. Then they have their technical notes. Again, I'm just kind of skimming through this. I'm pretty excited. This section is very technical and it is not expected that players understand this, but it may help a technical friend, community member to help you determine if your computer or laptop is sufficient. Hytale is a sandbox voxel game, which means it cares more about CPU performance and memory than other games. Once your GPU meets our minimum specs, upgrading your CPU and having enough system memory will usually help more than buying an even faster graphics card. So the GPU isn't as big of a deal. The GPU isn't as big of a deal as the CPU. Yeah. That's interesting. I thought that would have some place, something, have something to do with it, but apparently it doesn't. So that's interesting. Internally, Hytale builds large texture atlases, big combined textures, and keeps a lot of world geometry in VRAM. Higher view distances increase this usage. That's why some GPUs run out of VRAM or start stuttering, even if they look fine on paper. As a rule of thumb, make sure your GPU meets or exceeds our listed minimum included VRAM. Prefer a dedicated, discrete GPU over an integrated one on laptops. After that, focus on solid multi-core CPU and enough RAM than a top-end GPU. Okay, so let's go up and have a look at the VRAM stuff. I didn't think there was anything. I must have skipped over the VRAM thing. Where's that at? Where's VRAM? Did I go past stuff for VRAM? What are we talking about? VRAM. I'm not seeing anything about VRAM, which means I'm probably have to do a quick search real quick because this is not helping. VRAM, where are you going at? Hytale business being VRAM, higher distance usage. This was stuff where you can look fine on paper. So where's the other VRAM? Yeah, but they don't mention the needed VRAM. Oh my sweet Jeebus. Well, mine has 8 gigs, so of graphics memory, which I guess is VRAM. I guess. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. But anyhow, no, I'm pretty excited for it. I mean, my GPU is more than enough then. Apparently, it doesn't super matter. But it matters more to have plenty of memory and CPU. That seems to matter a bit more. And that explains a lot, actually. That explains quite a bit. I want to keep this video short, but I think it's going to be fun on a bun. I really like the combat. That's kind of got me excited. I'm looking forward to playing this, and I hope I don't get bored with it too easily. I've gotten to where I'm very freaking bored with Minecraft. Minecraft is tremendously boring for me. I keep having to mod the hell out of it to even remotely find it interesting. And then there's the fact that once you build a base and everything, it just falls off for me. You know, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot else to do. And that's why I'm looking forward to some more of a adventure being placed into part of it, like an RPG. And I think that's something that they're wanting to do. There's a good focus on fighting things and story and whatnot that's gonna eventually be put into play after they get everything else going. Like right now, yeah, you can fight some things. You're gonna gather materials, build a base and whatnot, but there's other than building and whatnot, there's not a whole lot going on. And they made that they were completely transparent about that. Simon was very transparent about that. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait to play it. I'm still talking about Hytale on my channel, even though it's not doing me any good. Just because I'm pretty excited for it. They mentioned something, and this is something that I haven't touched on or even done a video about. At least I don't think I have. But you're gonna actually be able to jump into a world with a friend. So if your friend is playing, you want to join them without a server, you'll be able to do that, which is something I kept suggesting. I didn't know it was something they really wanted to actually already do. I didn't remember them ever mentioning it. And maybe it's something that he liked the idea and he saw people asking about it. People were like peer-to-peer, like gives a peer-to-peer multiplayer option. And either they already wanted to do that or he saw people asking for that, was like, yeah, let's do that. There is more of a convenience when you play multiplayer on a server, though, because you don't have to, the other person doesn't have to be there when you play. So I get that. There's still going to be a place for that. People can still have servers and make money and whatnot. But other than that, like being able to just hop into a world with your friend while they're playing is great. That's what I do in Valheim. You know, there's a lot of games that have that option actually. So it's nice to see that they want to do that too. I really don't like the idea of being forced into having a server just to play with like my brother, for instance. Me and my brother might want to play. So, you know, it would be nice that he can just join me. And that was something I wanted to touch on in this video because I don't think I've even done a video talking about it. I've been discouraged about talking about Hytale. I'm excited for it, but I also noticed the numbers on my videos just aren't going anywhere, and it's really getting under my skin. But anyhow, that's all I got to say about this. Bye.